very is a in per ton kilometer. It's the most efficient way to carry cargo. So considering what is really happening at a global level and to the Indian economy, I think they're just asking for doubling the fleet. You know, it's sort of 8.5 or 8.3 million GT to 15 million GT, which is not something out of the way. And in over the next probably 10 years or so. But the quantum of investment that we are talking again to the private equity people is close to 1,70,000 crores, which is equal to probably the entire investment which is coming telecom. I don't know the telecom investment, but probably that's the number, and that's just one sector. When we come to ports, we come to, so it's a huge infrastructure that we need to build, the huge network, the logistics network that we are talking of. So that's so Nikhil wanted to.
Scenarios, 10 million, 12 million, 3 million. But what is INSA's forecast, say at 8 or 8.5 GDP growth essentially? What does India actually need, and when? This 10 million is required when, and what growth number?
No, we have to look shipping into two scenes. One is internationally, where Indian ships can participate, and one, looking within India, where how much percentage of cargo we need to carry. Today, the share of Indian ships is just about, I think, 13%. Even to go by, the age-old liner code of 40%, should be carried within the own bottoms, I think we will need almost 18 million GT, which I think it's a far-fetched thing. So, what we are talking today of the modest growth of, say, 15 million GT, maybe about 10 years down the line, for which an investment, as I said, would be almost 80,000 crores. So, we have answers for all the questions that the government is raising. Why shipping? Whether owning a car is more beneficial or hiring a taxi is more beneficial. We have done the complete, a study on that, and where India should, reach. Take the example of Greece or Singapore. These are not, cargo generating countries, unlike India or unlike China. But still, where Greece is as far as ship owning is concerned, and where Singapore is and where India is. So, I think as a country we will have to decide that, okay, we have such a, bountiful maritime infrastructure, why not make use of it? And unless until we have a certain critical tonnage within the country, I think the multiplier effect of shipping, I think we can never hope to achieve.
One more point I'd like to add is that besides the ratio of Indian tonnage to Indian cargoes, there are other commercial interests also. There are a lot of traders like Glencore, etc., who will be able to sell to IOC, an oil cargo, because they have a ship in place, not because IOC is not ready to buy the cargo. But because they have a ship in place and nobody else has a ship in place, they will buy the cargo from Shell or BP, trade it at a profit of $1 or $2, and then resell it to IOC. Whereas IOC could have directly, very easily bought it from Shell. So that commercial leveraging that they can do because they have the logistics and transportation support, can never be accounted for.
What is the INSA? I would like to know INSA that what is their objection to the international registry? Because that is another option open to the government. Government is seriously considering it to have an alternative registry under which we can give the same benefits as Singapore or other countries that we
see, I would like to say that there are two things. That one, you said during your this thing that INSA is not cooperating, training the people, and we all know that one of the reasons is that we train the people and they leave us and go on foreign vessels, and we are again left out over there. It doesn't matter how many you train them, because there is a shortage of almost 50,000 officers worldwide. So what I'm trying to say that we have been asking the government to treat the sailor of the ship at par with the foreign vessel sailor, and government has not been doing it. In the past, what is happening that the INSA members are paying more to the crew members than the foreigner paying on their ships. So our cost of operating is high. Plus, we have the problem in getting the vessel manned all the time. So the government has to treat these sailors on foreign ships and Indian ships at par. from there. Then today, what we see in the INSA, what Mr. Kulkarni has brought the facts and figures, that if the government, certain presentation has given to the government, if government does not consider that at par with the foreign ship owners, then INSA has a thought why we should get vessel registered in India, Why can't we get registered in Singapore and make money and trade worldwide rather than pay the taxes being in India, because you are a worldwide company, you do not depend only on the Indian cargo or Indian circumstances. So what Mr. Kulkarni says, we need so much funds provided the Indian ship owners wants their vessel to get registered with the Indian flag. And you are talking that why we have objection for the foreign vessels being registered under the Indian class. I mean, we don't see much objection except whether the foreigners are willing to come to India to get their vessel registered is a big question. So even if we open it even for 3 months, we have to see, we have a 100% FDI in the shipping company. Till today, no foreigners have come and opened a single shipping company in India, and who owns the ships?
This is again, somebody has to look at the Merchant Shipping Act. There are provisions in Merchant Shipping Act which inhibit that. Those have to be looked into, and then government can be advised that, suppose we give the comfort to the financiers, the money will not flow in the shipping sector.
You pay a lot of taxes here as well. What Mr. Kulkarni said, that the government gives us the freedom, we will have 5,000 crore again put in for buying the vessels. Now, if those 5,000 crores if foreigner can save by getting their vessel registered in Singapore, then why he should come to India?
So what we are talking is, number one, through the international registry, all the ships, we are talking of two regimes. On one regime, we keep giving the benefits what we are giving of carriage of preference to the Indian cargo, that is under the Indian flag. And then under the Indian international register, the ships which you are flagging out to Singapore or Hong Kong or wherever, we bring them back under the Indian registry. And maybe some foreigners also would then, through FDI route, will come and put the ships there and give them the same benefits what other countries are giving. What's wrong in that?
That's a very good point. Provided you get all the benefit what the other countries gives, but can we?
So, Mr. Saki, what we have to really, understand is that there is a sector which is waiting to grow. There is a huge domestic demand. Internationally, Indians have done fairly well in shipping. In fact, Indian seafarers are world over. And so all the factor conditions which are required to grow the fleet is there. What probably the shipping fraternity, INSA and other people expect is to government to understand a regulatory framework which would facilitate a high growth. It could be based out of India, it could be an international registry, but it should be in control of India. Okay, like Chelaram Shipping, I mean, they're an NRI group based out of Hong Kong for I think 2 or 3 generations, but they're very, very India-centric. In the sense, the entire manpower is Indian. It's like your Lakshmi Mittal group. Though it may be global in terms of scale and the ownership, but it has a very Indian ethos. So what probably Indian ship owners are really looking at the government to facilitate this kind of growth, where Indian ship owners can go out, so we need to really sit and understand and create a regulatory environment which is facilitating this kind of.
Just the last, I will just finish off the discussion here because there are so many other important issues there.
Right.
Just there should be a mutual trust. There is an apprehension in the prospective investors and also in certain quarters amongst the government that INSA is a very closed group. INSA wants to grow, but only the growth should be limited to only this closed group, and no outsider should be permitted to participate in the growth. And certain quarters the government feel that if it is opened to everybody else, then the growth will be much more rapid, rather than wait for this small group to have sufficient assets to grow.
Yeah.
Now, this is the kind of apprehension INSA should come out transparently, that there is no such thing. INSA is quite open about it. And INSA should then frame such policies, make the draft and go to the government. I'm sure government is going to be open about it. I'm not saying it is true, but I'm just talking of the fears which are there amongst certain quarters, which have